Was that mine? No.
Is it you? Oh, I know. It's Sean letting us know that we're on now.
We're live video.
You never see it coming. It seems like we were just kids. The way this life keeps moving, with all of its changes, the things used to be so simple, running around and climbing trees. So let another day pass you by without those kinds of memories. So live it up and let it be. Don't worry about tomorrow. You just wait and see. So take it slow and don't move too fast, because this life is just an hourglass.
Day by day, oh dear Lord, 3 things I pray: to see Thee more clearly, love Thee more dearly, follow Thee more nearly, day by day.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Day by Day with Robb and Jody. I'm Robb,
And I'm Jody.
and we're excited to welcome you to another great show here. And today is a milestone day.
Milestone Day. Yes,
Here-
it is.
Here on Day by Day with Robb and Jody. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but we have our good friend Nazareth with us today, and we're going to introduce him here in just a minute and let him say hello to you.
Got to give you a proper introduction.
And we're looking to have a really good time today because laughter doeth good like a medicine.
Yes, it does.
And we hope that you will laugh with us today because that's the purpose of us doing this. Now, up until now, the last 2.5 years, we have been broadcasting to you every week on HopeRadio247.com and out on Facebook Live. Today makes a major change in our show as we will no longer be broadcasting on HopeRadio247.com, but today we go to full-on podcasting. And you can now find us on all of your favorite podcasting sites, iTunes, Google Play, BeanPod, Spotify, Pandora, and many
Alexis.
more. So I'm told that about 24 hours after this live show goes out on Facebook Live, that those shows will show up on the podcast sites. So let us know because this is all new to us, and we're excited to see how it goes. But we want to say hello to everybody watching out here
Hi,
on
guys.
Facebook. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I want to thank Sean Kelly and HopeRadio247.com for what they've done for us for the last 2 years of the Day by Day with Robb and Jody show. And
How long he's been saying that?
yeah, it's been a great blessing to us, and we've enjoyed being here, and we're going to continue to be here, but in a much greater capacity than we have been. So
We're advancing into the 21st century.
exactly. So before I get too far out of hand, I should say hello to my beautiful wife. How you doing today?
I'm great, baby. How are you?
I didn't mean to wait so long to say hello.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
That's
Blessed
good.
and highly favored of the Lord.
Because I'm wonderful too, because you're sitting on the same side of the table as me, and I love that.
This is true.
Anyhow, so as always, you can leave comments or ask questions. You can contact us at our website at www.tcbforjc.org. That's tcbforjc.org, taking care of business for Jesus Christ. Or you can look at us at Facebook at Day by Day with Robb and Jody. And you can send us an email at daybydayWithRobbandJody@gmail.com. Please remember, Robb is spelled with 2 B's and Jody with a Y. If you haven't already, like our Facebook page and share this video. There's a share button down at the bottom of the picture. You can share that, send it to your friends. And you can also check out our YouTube channel at Day by Day with Robb and Jody. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified when new shows are posted. And as I said, now we're on iTunes, Google Play, and all those other places. And I believe
it's not just iTunes; it's everybody.
Yeah, and I believe you're able to subscribe to those as well. So whatever one of those is your favorite podcasting site, subscribe to our channel there, and you'll get notifications when new podcasts come out. So that's going to be great. So we should start this show with a word of prayer.
Yes, we should.
As we always do. And we'll invite our friend Nazareth to join in with us there. And so, Father God, we just come before you, Lord. We thank you for this opportunity to be here and do the Day by Day with Robb and Jody show. We thank you for those who are listening on Facebook Live and the many podcasts that will be joining in with us now. So, Lord, we ask that you have the listeners here that need to be here and hear the message today, that their ears will be open, their hearts will be receptive, Lord. And we ask that you be upon... We've had some great tragedies in the last couple of days, and we just ask that you be upon survivors and victims and first responders and all of those that are needing peace and calm in this terrible time. Lord, we love you, we praise you, and we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Well,
Now for the good part.
It is now time to introduce our guest. And many of you, I believe many of our viewers are familiar with who you are. This man has been around the world and performed his comedy. He's been on TBN and Daystar and all the big Christian television networks and Christian radio programs. And he's performed his comedy for the military and for business and corporate world. And just a wonderful man of God, somebody that we call a friend. And we've known Nazareth now for about 10 years. And we'll talk about how we met a little later in the show. But will you give it up for Comedian Nazareth?
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
You're welcome.
Yay.
You're welcome.
It's nice to see you guys. I can tell you guys are in love. So it's awesome to see a married couple in love like that.
That's a love that only God can provide, you know?
This is true.
We both did it wrong the first time, and we did it right the second time.
Yes, indeed.
So, anyhow, Nazareth, it is so good to see you, buddy. We just saw you a couple months ago live over at Crossroads Church and brought a bunch of people over there and had a good time watching that show, as we do every time we watch you. But for those who might not be familiar with who you are, will you take a few minutes, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your testimony, a little about how you became who you are, and we'll go from there.
Okay, well, my name is Nazareth. I was born in the Holy Land in Israel. And when I was 3 years of age, my family moved to Kuwait. So I grew up in a desert, 146, about 140 degrees in the summer. And from there, I went to high school there, and then later moved to the U.S., to Toledo, Ohio, to go to college. And after leaving Toledo, I moved to Southern California, and from there I started I was doing accounting and tax accounting, and eventually... Yes, very interesting. Comedians doing accounting. Comedians and cars doing accounting. No, that would be a good show. But I started doing accounting. I had 3 jobs because I wanted. My mom and dad moved in with me, and they didn't have any income. So I worked 3 jobs, 7 days a week to take care of them. And eventually, I decided one day to run the LA Marathon. I don't know why. I used to smoke a pack of cigarettes a day. So I needed to run 2 miles, smoke a cigarette, run 2 miles, smoke a cigarette. I wasn't a believer back then.
Isn't that counterproductive?
Yeah, so I went to this is funny because I signed up. I don't know why I signed up. I said, if I do 2 miles this year, next year I'll do 2. within 20 years, I'd probably finish the race.
Mm-hmm.
But I went in there, and the night before, they said, "Oh, come on, let's have some carbo load." That's what they do. So I went to LA, and we were sitting at tables like a banquet setting, and all this pastas there. And on my table was Muhammad Ali, the boxer. And he just stood up, looked at me, and he goes, "You're gonna finish this, man, boy." I go, "Yes, sir." And he shook my hand, squeezed it. He said, "You're gonna finish this. You promised me." I said, "I promise you, I'll finish it." And so the next morning, I come in, smoke my last cigarette, looking at what others runners are doing, like stretching and trying to copy them, and some were rubbing some Vaseline, not what do you call it, like this vapor rub on their legs, and then we started the race. Within 2 miles, I was like dying, and people said, "Just keep running." Got to 5 miles, my lungs were like shutting off, and I kept running, and made it to 10 miles, and people say, "Oh, it's downhill from there. Don't worry about it. You can do it." Went down to almost 22 miles, and this homeless lady, she goes, "Oh, honey, you can finish it. There's 4 more miles. You can do it." And I finished the race, and I sat there, and my toes couldn't even look at me. They were so angry, and I asked myself the question, what can I do in life that if I never get paid for it, I'll do it to the best of my ability? Because at that point, you're so high on endorphin that I felt I can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And comedy is making people laugh is what I wanted to do. So the next day, I went to a comedy club in Encino, California. I signed up for what do you call open mic night. There were 300 people in the audience at 7 p.m. Beautiful, beautiful club. By the time I went on stage, it was midnight. About 9 drunks, and 2 of them fell off their chair laughing, and that was my confirmation. And I've been on stage since. Eventually, after a few years, I had great success in the beginning. I had a management. I had people, who wanted to put me in different places, and I did clubs. I did Vegas. Everything was doing great, and the drugs were great, the cocaine, the alcohol. But then a comedian invites me to church, and Jesus grabbed a hold of my life, and that was it. I quit. I called my management. I quit. A week later, the pastor of the church, he said, "Nazareth, why can't you do something for us at the church?" I go, "You can't do comedy at church?" Because my act was dirty.
Right.
And he said, "God created laughter and humor. It was Satan who perverted it. So you can still do it." And we decided to do a comedy night. It was a small coffee house. 400 people showed up uninvited. And right there, God confirmed to me that I want you to do this for me.
Wow.
Wow.
And it was a big transition. And it was in the beginning, and then we're talking about 1992, 93. Nobody did comedy, especially in California. Churches, like, you're the devil if you do. What do you want to do, comedy in a church? But eventually we started going to prisons with Chuck Colson Ministry, Prison Fellowship, and I figured instead of going to a hell gig, what we call those, like bars at midnight doing comedy and making people try new material, I said, you know what, God opened the door for me to do it in prisons. And if you can make a death row inmate laugh, it's a good joke. And I developed a strong act in the prisons, of course, going in every night, every morning and getting out at night.
Right.
And we started doing that for a few years. And it was me, Tim Hawkins, Thor Ramses, Gilbert Esquivel, different comedians. We did that. And it was just a remarkable time because you get to lead inmates to Christ, and at the same time, you get to become a strong comic because, I remember we used to stand there and they'll be in the yard, these people like serial killers and others. I mean, we asked to go into death row, and then we're standing there and we're picking on these people like if you're in a club. And the singers and the athletes, like, how dare you guys, how can you, what if you go, when you're a comedian, you're on stage, you're not scared of anybody. Right. So it made our act strong. And now we can tell, like, when we watch a comedian who started in the church, you can tell there's a gentleness, graceful. But we came from the clubs and from doing the prisons, and then God opened the youth ministry to be able to encourage the young people. Because to me, it was very encouraging for the youth because, hey, listen, I've had the fame and I've had everything. I had the drugs, I had the alcohol, I had the lifestyle. And I gave it up all for Jesus. And if I do it again, I can do it when I would turn to, like when the doctor pulled me out of my arm and hit me on my butt, I would say, I forgive you and accept Jesus, and that would be my testimony. So that was encouraging for the youth to know, hey, you know what? You chose the right thing, being with Jesus, because sometimes, I'm a dad, and sometimes, Christian children, when they become teenagers, you go, I want to see what I missed. I want to see what I'm missing. Well, you're not missing anything. Like I told my son, I said, you know what's in the trash can? Let's not go look at it. You want to go play with the trash and to see what it's like? This is exactly what it is.
Right.
It sounds good right now. You're going to regret it later. So this is my testimony. Been doing comedy for 30 years, almost 27 for the Lord.
Wow.
And praise God, God just opening doors.
That he does. That he does.
That he does. You are all over the place.
Praise God. I know. Praise God. I love that. I mean, I go every year to Germany to do events with our military, and I love what they do, and I honor them, so I enjoy that. I do events for the homeless in Texas and other places at homeless shelters, and then I do these events with very wealthy people, and it doesn't matter where, God just opens the door, and I'll go.
That's fantastic.
So as you were starting out in comedy, and you can take this, your very start of when you switched over to Christian comedy, who did you look up to? Who were your role models, if you will, that you were trying to follow?
I watched few people, and at the time it was Cosby. Every comedian who does not say Cosby or Richard Pryor had an influence on them.
They were big in that time.
They were the two that has influence in the way I did my comedy. But mostly there was a comedian. He committed suicide a few years ago, and his name is Richard Jeni. Not many people know who he is, but he was just hilarious. And I used to love watching him and learning from him. I learn from everybody. I watch everyone, and I try to learn from them. To this day, after 30 years, 4,000 shows, I'm still a student. I still read books about comedy.
Right.
I still watch comedians, and I'm learning.
Wow. It's funny you mentioned that you're still a student in books about comedy. That's how you and I met back in 2011. You were teaching comedy classes, and I attended one of those classes, and I think it was about 10 weeks long, and you taught us...
6 weeks.
6 weeks? Okay. You taught us how to write our routines, and you taught us how to deliver, and our graduation from that was doing a stand-up routine.
And you did great. You were funny, and you had a hat on, right? I remember that.
Yeah.
No, you did great. I did that because if you think about it, in 2009, 10, and 11, we had the economy crash, slowed down. So to me, I always love to teach people. I still to this day have younger comedians that I help out. But at the time, I was in town, so I figured this is what I can do some kind. And I wasn't charging much. I mean, just I wanted people to learn it. And I'm so glad there's several people. One of them, Taylor Tomlinson, is now getting in a sitcom on ABC. She's been on Conan several times. She's been on the Tonight Show. And there's a couple comedians who are full-time doing it. So it worked good. It's good. I love to help people.
It's interesting because I kept all my notes from that class. I have all the PowerPoints that you gave us and everything, and I refer to them quite a bit. Just if I'm writing to MC something, or even sometimes when we've done shows, I've gone back to look at how to structure something to make it sound funny, and it was a good experience. I'm really glad I did it.
I love that. That's why I did it for things like this, where people say it helped me. I love to help people, and it's awesome.
We got the added benefit of getting to know you during that time. So
thank you.
It was such a
and
blessing.
you wearing one of my T-shirts is really humbling.
I am.
Laughter for all with Comedian Change California, Change the Nation. That's awesome.
Yeah, you want to talk about that program?
Yeah, this is something, when Jody, when I accepted Christ, there was that calling from the Lord. And, is, Naz, I want you to be an evangelist to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do it all over the world, but
Right.
this is where my heart is. I wanna see Americans come to Christ, and so most of the time after my show, I share the good news. In fact, today, if you know comedian Brad Stein is a very big comedian. We were talking for an hour, and he goes, "You're the only one I know that you're ministry oriented in your comedy, even though we both started in the clubs, and we both would go like." Me or Brad, or I can go to a club right now and do an hour of comedy to a secular audience that doesn't know anything about Jesus and still get almost a standing ovation, if not for sure get a standing ovation.
Mhm.
I can still do this show. It's not, I don't do like Noah jokes and,
Right,
Jonah
right.
jokes. It's real comedy. But when I get on that stage, my desire, it used to be as a non-comedian, I want to get a standing ovation. That's honor. I want to get another booking from it. Now my goal is like, okay, I want to honor the Lord. It could be encouraging one person. It could be giving the gospel invitation, which I get to do that a lot.
Yeah, you do.
It's a privilege. But lately, I mean, an evangelist is not only one who shares the gospel. An evangelist is someone who provokes the believers to go out and share their faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one time and this is an interesting story. I was in Florida, and before that, I was complaining to the Lord. I mean, sometimes we had fights, me and the Lord. Like
We all know how that
I
works
know where
out.
I stand. I know where I stand, but I need to let this out. I need
Yes.
to let you
We
know
all vent.
this is not going the way we want here. And I'm like, you said this in your book, and I know you're faithful, and I know you're true. I was like, why is this happening? Why can't the due dates and God's timing happen in the same day? Why is it God's timing always like a few days after, and I have to pay an extra fee or a return item? So I was arguing, going through that and dealing with the Lord. And so I was in Florida. I'm supposed to speak at a church in Florida in the morning in Bradenton, Florida. So I flew in. We were talking to the assistant pastor, associate pastor. So I get there, and I'm about an hour early. And there's this big man standing there with his arms folded, waiting for me. He goes, "Are you Nazareth?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "Well, come with me." I go, "And you are?" He goes, "I'm the senior pastor." I go, "I'm an hour early." He goes, "I know, but the Holy Spirit has been talking to me about you, and I need to pray with you." Like, okay. So I'm following. I'm like, I'm glad I'm self-employed. I don't have to report. I don't like people telling me what to do. So I follow him to the green room, and there's an empty chair with 7 deacons around it. And he goes, "Sit down." I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Interrogation's gonna happen.
Interrogation. This is going. I'm like, this is immigration. This is not a church. So I'm sitting there, and they start praying, and he starts praying in tongue. And this is a Baptist church. There's a problem.
Yes, there is.
So I said, okay, well, this is from the Lord. I really felt it. It is from the Lord. And he started praying, and when he's done, he said, "Nazareth, I know you, God. There's some arrows you're getting attacked." I go, "Yes, I am." He goes, "They're white. I see white arrows, which means it's God is allowing it. It's not from the devil." I was like, okay, I don't understand. He goes, "God's gonna speak to you this week." I go, okay, okay, whatever. So I go up, do my first service. They love it. Come home, come back. He prays more for me. He said, "I need to pray for you because my gifting is to pray for the saints, that there's an extra hedge of protection because what God is calling you for is big." I said, okay. So he prays for me again. I don't think anything about it. I fly home. I get a call from my friend Phil Liberatore. He goes, "Nazareth, you want to go to the Night of Dreams again at the Dream Center?" I said, "Yeah." So I was there the year before. So I took my wife with me, Maha. And me and Maha are sitting at the banquet. And it was Tommy Barnett's 80th birthday. He was an evangelist.
Right.
And I was opening the booklet and I'm reading, and there was a letter written to Tommy Barnett 40 years ago by at the time, who was the assistant superintendent of the Assemblies of God. And I met him personally. George E. Wood is his name. And he was saying, "Hey, Tommy, come to California, because if you can change California, you can change the nation."
Mm.
And electricity hit me. I stopped. I couldn't read anything. I stopped, and Maha looks at me. She goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "I don't know. I just feel there's something. There's like electricity. It's like I think the Lord is." And the Lord was starting. I felt. I mean, it's a whisper. It wasn't like an audible voice. It was like, shame on you. You live in California, and look what's going on with California. My kids are scared to share their faith. They're afraid of the atheists. They're afraid of the agnostic. They're afraid of the anxious people. They're afraid. Why are they afraid? He said, I want you to go and tell my children that I'm going to do a revival in this state. And when it gets darker, that's when I do my work best. He said, and it's not going to be just you. It's going to be several ministries. So you do that, but you have to start with a personal revival. You have to start it with you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I went and I grabbed Tommy Burnett, gave him a hug. I said, I took your mantle, and I left. He did. It still to this day, he doesn't even know what I said to him. But I went home, and the whole way in the car, I'm like, and my wife goes, "Oh, so you're gonna change California?" I go, "Not me. God's gonna do the work." So I went, invited all my board and their wives. I said, "I want you in one room. We need to talk." And I shared the vision with them. And instead of calling me crazy, they were in tears. They said, "It's about time. We need to do something. Christians are just complaining. They're leaving the state. Why are they doing that? We need to stay in California because we're the light."
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so we decided we're going to do 7 events every year at large churches, like the one you've been to. We had 2,900 people that night. And the goal is to get 1,000 believers to commit to sharing Jesus with 7 people. So we do the invitation to Christ, we lead the unbelievers, but also after that I empower believers to go out and share their faith. Last year we did our 7,000. This year we're already, we are doing one in Canyon Hills in Bakersfield in September 20th, one at the Maranatha Chapel in October 16th, and one we're talking right now to a church in Inglewood, big church. And we're going to go into LA and get the message. And I truly believe, guys, that the only way we can change California is Jesus can only change it. And if people hear about Jesus, their life can change. When their life change, they wake up to the reality to be better people, better, better family members, better husbands, better fathers, better children. And also they start loving life and they start loving the family. So everything will get fixed. Not by a president, not by a Democratic Party or a Republican. It's by Jesus himself. Now, I sound like a pastor. I'm a comedian. So we do 2 hours of comedy, and then at the end, I get to challenge people.
Right. Absolutely. That's great. And that goes with the book that you have here as well, right?
Yeah, my book, I wrote that a year and a half ago. It's called Hope in 24 Hours. And it's my story, how many times God came through.
I'm going to be Vanna White now. See,
Oh, hi, Vanna White.
there you go.
Yes. I'll take you for 200.
You can't have her.
No, I meant, it's a vow.
It's a vow.
Thank you. I have my own baby, and she's 23 years of marriage. So,
There you go. It's all good.
So this book is about how God, in my life, several times came through in 24 hours or less with something. You know how sometimes people go to bed and they're always concerned and worried. They get up in the middle of the night. How am I going to pay this? How am I going to take care of this? What am I going to do? And they forget one scenario that they can add to it. It's like, maybe God can do something better than I thought. And he does. And a lot of times Christians forgot that. They're just asking God to help me with this problem. If I can only make this extra this, or if I can do this, if this would happen. And they don't expect that God can do above and beyond what we can ask for. And I'm not just I'm not a name it and claim it guy, but what I'm saying is, like, there are stories in my life. I saw my wife. The day I've been praying for a wife for 3 years. And I'm just not dating, not touching a woman, nothing. I want to marry a believer. And because I didn't know how to meet a Christian lady, like, what's my pickup line? Oh, I copy you, you weaker vessel. Or you look hotter than the lake of fire. Or you got your glorified body. I don't know. I waited.
That's funny you say that, because we tease each other all the time about I agape you, and it doesn't sound right.
And this is funny because sometimes people think Christians have the perfect marriage. Like just because we're Christian,
Of course.
like like I'll be laying on the recliner watching the game, and my wife would go, "Oh Lord Jesus, thank you that you gave my husband sleep. Oh, it's wonderful. I know he forgot to take the trash out for the second week in a row, but I love him, and you forgave him, so I forgive him." And I would be sitting looking at the American Express bill, and I said, "Oh Lord, my wife at the mall, she walks by faith, not by sight." No,
right.
we have challenges, but
Sure.
we love each other, and it's just beautiful. So I was praying for a beautiful wife with a rich father that knows the whole Bible. That was my prayer. And every year I was like, okay, she doesn't have to have a rich father. This beautiful New Testament is fine. Second year, I'm losing hair. Oh, she doesn't have to be beautiful. Just okay. The Book of John is fine with me. And another year, I go to Israel. My dad passes away. He asked me to go to the Gaza Strip out of all these places. And I go to the Gaza Strip, and I get to the Gaza Strip. And it's the Muslim part of Israel. First night, I'm with my atheist cousin from Baltimore, his fiance, and her sister. I'm sharing the Lord with them. He gets mad. He goes, "Don't listen to him. He's a born-again Christian." Her sister says, "Me too." And I go, "Would you like to marry me?" And she looks at me. She's a beautiful woman. She goes, "I've been praying for a believer to come to this side of the world. Let me pray and fast for 3 days. I'll get back to you." 3 days later, she came back. She goes, "I'm starving. Let's do it." And
Cool.
we got engaged within 5 days. A year later, I went back. We got married. We've been married, August 10th, 23 years. I love this woman more today than when I married her. She's a godly woman, loves the Lord, and her dad wasn't doing bad either. So it's God answered that prayer in 24 hours. One day I was single. 24 hours later, I'm planning a wedding. Fast forward the time I was teaching, but right before I was teaching the classes, I'm paying the devil, Bank of America. I'm paying him like 90% of the mortgage because I couldn't afford the whole thing, and they kept charging me and penalties on the charges, penalties on the interest on the penalties, and they would not modify for me. And I kept calling, and I got almost like $70-some thousand, and I lost sleep. I would get up at 3 in the morning and go, "They're gonna call me today. They're gonna call me again today, and they're gonna have to give them the same story, and how am I can only pay this much." And then one day a friend calls me and goes, "Hey, how you doing?" I go, "I'm doing great." They go, "That's not what God told me." "Well, what did God tell you?" They go, "Doesn't matter. If you don't want to say, you don't have to. But there's a FedEx coming your way tomorrow. It's not from me, it's from the Lord." I go, "Okay." So I was thinking like 1,500, 1,000. It was $100,000 check.
Hello.
Hello, yes. Never happened after it happened, but I got that check. I paid the bank.
Would you teach us exactly how you prayed for that?
I didn't pray for that. I never prayed for that. I was praying for Bank of America just to modify. And that's why this book is about. Like, why are we as Christians, when we pray and ask, we ask for so little?
Right.
Yeah, we
Again,
do.
this is not name it and claim it.
Right.
This is not name it and claim it. And so anyway, so one day
I mean,
was,
you didn't plant a seed, so to speak.
No.
To
I
go
didn't
ahead
plant-
and say, "Oh, here's 10,000. I need 100,000."
No, I never done that. I would never do that. But I've always tithed. Me and Maha,
There
we've
you go.
always tithed.
There
We
you go.
never stop. Doesn't matter if we're broke. If we have to choose between eating and tithing, we'll tithe. But no, I never threw a seed and say, "Oh, it's gonna be crazy." But you know what? What I was praying for is for Bank of America to either modify and give me a break or lower the mortgage by 10-20%.
Right.
That's all I was asking. But God does above and beyond what we can ask for if
Yeah.
that's His will. So that happens. More stories. My daughter, they thought she has a hole in her heart. We go to the doctor. Next day, doctor said nothing's wrong with her. Till this day, nothing is wrong. There's situation now. Not everything can change in 24 hours for the better. My son got hit by a car on Main and by the CFIS school. It took him a long while time to heal from it. But what I'm saying, God can, if it's His will, change your situation in 24 hours or less. And I have stories from other people who sent to me and said, God came through for us in 24 hours. So that's what I want to encourage the listeners, like, hey, read the book. But no, I mean, even if you don't read the book, I just want to encourage you that God can change your situation. Whatever on your heart right now, whatever's scaring you, whatever making you fearful right now, remember God knows about it. He cares about it. and in his timing, he can. His timing could be in a minute, in an hour, or tomorrow, or next year, and it could happen in 24 hours if that's his will.
Now, where can they get the book?
Where can they can get it on Amazon. They can get it from my website, nazarethusa.com, and or garage sales now because it's been out for 2 days. no, but yeah, they can get it from Amazon.
So
or
it's
my
hope
website.
in 24 hours.
Yes, your situation can change for the better.
Very good.
Yeah.
And in addition to your book, you've got several DVDs and
Which we own a bunch of them.
You do? Oh, thank you. Yeah, I have, 5 or 7 DVDs out. Nowadays, we don't have DVDs, so people can go to Pandora or go to Spotify and just iTunes
Right.
and get my stuff there.
YouTube.
It's a whole different world nowadays.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
So how did you guys meet?
Holy moly. The tables have been turned.
Yes.
I'm going to put Rob on the spot.
We met, as I spoke with you earlier.
Uh-huh.
We were doing a charity event for the homeless task force in Corona. Jody was the executive director and doing some fundraising, and I was doing some audio work for a theater group. And we brought a couple singers in to sing, and I did the audio for it. And we met that night, and then about 6 months later, we decided to do a.
Now, I was
theatrical-
happily single for 17 years.
And how good was the audio that made you
It was
attracted to
wonderful.
him? So you
No,
saw him.
see, I looked at him and I'm like, he doesn't have a ring on.
Oh. 17 years single, and you were still looking at the rings.
And I'm still looking for the ring.
For the ring. For the disappearance of the ring. Like not having and he didn't have a ring on, so what happened?
Well, I found he was very married at the time.
Oh, you were very married at the time.
And I went, okay, antenna's down.
So about
There
6 months
goes that.
later.
So you didn't have your ring on.
No.
He didn't wear a ring at that time.
I
Okay.
didn't,
But now you
long
forced him to
story,
wear
I
Right.
forced him to wear a ring.
Long story, but like I said, I did it wrong the first time around. It didn't have any meaning. So,
Mhm.
anyway, about 6 months later, we did that show I'm sorry. About 6 months later, after that fundraiser, we decided to do a full-on theatrical production to support the homeless
shelter.
And you were single at that time.
I was working on it.
You were working on it.
I was working on it.
And
I've
I
never
had no
heard that.
idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
You were just
And
I'm just being a client relationship. How are you?
yeah.
yeah, so we
Good
did
audio.
we did the Broadway musical Godspell, which the name of our show, Day by Day, that song comes from Godspell, and we did that show as a benefit for the homeless task force and the homeless shelter, and then it was about 6 months later after that when my divorce was all final, and I was actually looking for somebody to go to a Christmas party with me. And my buddy said, "Hey, why don't you invite Jody? She enjoys shows like that, and you guys seem to get along really well." And it was all downhill from there.
There you go.
Yeah,
Uphill, I mean.
Yeah, uphill. There you go.
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's awesome.
wonderful thing. We're going on 11 years.
And you guys
Thursday.
got married on which day?
8808 at 8:08 in the evening.
So August 8th coming up is our 11th anniversary.
And 8 is the number of new beginnings.
Yes, it is.
That's
It was a
awesome.
new beginning for both of us, and it was the right beginning.
And that's
Yes.
good because you guys were laughing together before the show, and sometimes I
Oh, yeah.
watch the other podcasts. You guys laugh.
Good
That's-
job of
that's
laughing
good.
together.
Laughter is a good generic medicine.
It is.
Because I
It
can't
is.
afford the brand name.
That's right.
And speaking of laughter, I'm going to put you on the spot because I know there's people that are tuned in that are saying he hasn't really done anything funny
Yes,
yet.
yes. I'm a serious person. People ask my wife all the time. They go, "Oh, that's probably me cracking you." No, she's the funny one at
Is she?
home. I am not funny. I can sit and write and be funny while I'm writing, or I'm on stage. I'm funny. Or if something comes up, I'll have to throw it, and we
Right.
laugh. But she's a funny one at home. You know, most comedians that I know, they're not. They're not funny off stage. We're serious. We're looking at life.
Right.
We're watching people.
Right.
So yeah, people go, he's not funny. Well, I got 30 years, 4,000 shows to prove it. I mean, praise God, I worked with B.B. King. I worked with Tim Conway. I've toured. I just came back from Colorado last week. We did Night Vision again. I was working with Newsboys for King and Country, Colton Dixon, Jordan Feliz, Pastor Greg Laurie. We had a great half an hour talking about my Laughter for All Crusades and the Harvest Crusades and all that, because they support our events. So it's really, really, I do big stuff, and then I would go to a homeless shelter and do that.
Right.
It doesn't. I love to see people laugh.
Yeah.
And with Laughter for All, we used to do them at stadiums, and we still, if we get enough believers who go, you know what, I love this ministry because I want to see California come to Christ. I want to see people get saved, and what better way to do it than comedy? Because sometimes people will not go to a church
Right.
if they're not Christian. They were not going to go to a Sunday morning service.
That's
And you
right.
try to invite them, they won't. But they'll come to comedy night, and you guys invited some friends, and they laugh and laugh for a couple hours, and then they hear the good news. At that time, their walls are down, and then the Holy Spirit will touch their heart through the invitation and all that, and they would turn their life to Christ. So people go, I love this. So what we did in the beginning, we said, okay, I told my board, I said, we're not going to charge money for this. I want people who cannot afford to go to a club and buy 2 drink minimum and listen to, they can come to our stadium or our arena and laugh for free. And we used to give boxes of food and toys.
Right.
We used to give at each event about 1,000 toys and 1,000 bags of food. But we found out that it kind of distracted people. We started only attracting the people that want to come take the bag of food and the toy and go home.
Right.
But our goal was, so we stopped doing that, and we got more of an audience now. But that's our goal. So some people go, yeah, I want to do that. I want to support that. They can do that. They can go to laughterforall.org, or people can say, hey, I would love to bring Naz to our church or to talk to our. I still do lots of churches, men's events, volunteer appreciation. I do a lot of women's events. I mean, KSBJ Radio in Houston, they bring me to do their girls' night out, about 4,000 women each night. And
Wow.
I mean, when you hear women, you know what? If I can only do a women's event all year long, because they laugh so hard, then get up and buy anything you have on your table.
That's right.
Yeah, you make enough money for the whole month just from the product table. They'll buy every book, everything from that.
You said a name a minute ago that I got to go back to.
Okay.
You mentioned Tim Conway. What is it like to work with Tim Conway?
I worked with him twice. We were on the same show twice, and he's a believer.
Uh-huh.
He picked on me. But I mean, when Tim Conway is picking on you, what do? I just responded.
You can't win.
I can't win. I tried, and then I figured, no, I can't win. But he is so fast,
Yeah.
and he's a very humble man. I mean, with all his accomplishments, we were back in the green room at TBN, and we just sat, we talked, and for about half an hour, just normal guy, very normal.
We were in the audience that night when you guys.
Oh,
did
you
that show
were?
together. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's a great
Yeah,
guy.
that was a great,
Wonderful.
great show.
And then we stay in contact, and he sent my kids this big gift of all his DVDs from Hermie and other stuff. It's really, really great, man.
Yeah. Good man. Good. Great.
Uh-oh, I'm getting a look.
No, I just wanted to know. Make sure you get an opportunity to ask a question.
You betcha. Let's see.
Anything.
Uh-oh. Give us a little bit of sample of what you do in your act.
What do I do? Oh, I start with, I'm from the Malays, but ever since September 11th, I feel so Mexican.
Yeah.
That's where I start. I talk a little bit about the stereotype, getting that out of the way. And then I go into how proud I am to be an American. I still believe this is still the greatest nation on earth. It's sad nowadays because it used to be the preachers and the politicians who brought us together. Nowadays, it's the shooter and the first responders are the ones that bringing us together. You're not coming together except, like what happened. And it's so sad in El Paso or in Gilroy or in Ohio. And it just, people coming together because Americans have a good heart. And at the end of the day, they want to do what's right. But now with the social media, we get to those points where people start just attacking one another, just attacking, everything. And it's just, it seems we are divided, but I feel we can come together again so fast because, Americans are very good at that. They can, if they feel, oh, this is going too far, they know how to come back and that's my prayer. You know. But and then I go into joking about different stuff that stuff that doesn't make sense to me. I talk about how being an immigrant, like when people say, what do you call slang? I always say, when you meet an immigrant, don't use slang. You scare them. They think you're cannibals. Like, oh, hey, can I pick your brains? Or I'm trying to make ends meet. Well, don't do that. That's not hygienically right. The other day, someone said, hey, I'm just shooting from the hip. Like, how do you do that? Well, you need a hip replacement if you keep shooting that.
Yep.
And another guy said, I have 2 degrees under my belt. I'm like, why would you put him
Under the belt.
You gotta need a big buckle belt to put it
wrinkle 'em.
under. Yeah, stuff like this. I joke about that. Then I go how I met my wife. I always share that story because I want to encourage people.
Right.
And many times, then if I have the chance, which is, I love it when I get to just improv with the people, just play. I've always tried to get 2 people married.
You did.
Yes.
You were trying that at Crossroads the other
With the 88-year-old.
Yes, yes.
Oh, remember what happened? I was so scared because I do that a lot. But she wanted a guy who has liquid assets
Right.
and healthy. Well, I found another 88. He was born on the same day she was.
Yes.
And I asked him to do a push-up. So he goes down to do a push-up, and all of a sudden it cleared him. If anything happens to him, I will be sued. Crossroads will be sued. Laughter for All will be sued. And so I ran down and grabbed him and said, never mind, it's okay. You know? And I'm looking at him like watching his breathing. It's like, are you okay? He's like, I'm okay. But I have 7 weddings to my name. I was invited to a few. I tried to get 2 people in the audience and I set them together and said, would you promise to go on a date? And they do, and then they say, hey, Naz, guess what? We're getting engaged.
There you
Would
go.
you like to come
Wow.
to the wedding? Yeah, if I can, I do. But that's, and then I end up the show, and then I talk about my kids and my children, and then I end up the show encouraging people, and then I give a gospel invitation at the end, and then most nowadays every show they ask me to do my snoring bit, and I end up closing with that. But it's fun. People laugh, but they leave inspired, encouraged.
Oh, that's for sure.
I know.
You can't plan that kind of stuff.
No, and she
they
knew
went to
him.
the same
And-
Bible study, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they go to the same Bible study. That's right.
She knew him, but she played along like, I don't want him. I'm like,
Yeah.
why didn't you tell me from the beginning? Oh, that was funny. And every show, there's something different, and we have different people. It's really funny. My goal, number 1 goal is I want people to laugh. Number 2, I want to encourage them. And what better way to encourage them at the end but to give them the good news of Jesus Christ? Because I tell people, I can make you laugh for 2-3 hours. You go home, you get an email or look at your mail, and you're going to be depressed again. But if I show you the source of joy, Jesus Christ, then you'll have joy regardless of your situation. And that's my goal.
So how's your sister Buffalo?
My sister Buffalo is a stage name. I have 2 other brothers who are older than me, Albuquerque and Waikiki. But yeah, they're doing good. You know, both. They have nothing to do with comedy, but I'm the youngest. Are you the youngest of
I am. I have
Yes.
3 older sisters.
3 older sisters?
Yeah.
Oh, so you were the spoiled boy.
Yeah, one of them, one who's listening right now. So.
Oh, that's awesome. How about you?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. You're the responsible one.
Oh, let's not go too far here.
Hey, you're
See,
the
I write
one-
out the checks, and he goes ahead and makes sure they make it to the right place.
No, I'm the spender in the house. Maha is, she's not frugal, but she's like, she would not buy anything for her unless it's on sale.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy that goes, oh, I like this shirt. Ooh.
Yeah.
She goes, did you look around other deals? Nope, I like it. I want it. I got it. She goes, this is like going hunting. You shoot the animal in the head. There's no sport to it. So when
That's
she
true.
goes to the mall, Macy's or Nordstrom, she'll look at a dress from far away, make sure the dress cannot see her or know she's interested.
That's right.
And for the next 6 weeks, she goes back to the store every day and hunt that dress down to from rack to rack until that dress is 80% dead now, and it's away from the rest of the herd on a broken hanger, scared and wrinkled. She waits another week to get that additional 10% Labor Day
Yeah.
coupon and get it. Hey, baby, I paid $5 for that $900 dress.
There you go.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
We've met your wife, and we've met your son and your daughters, and you have a wonderful family. I
Thank
mean,
you so much.
They just impress us so much. Your son, when we were doing the comedy class together, I think was just starting to do video work at that time, and he's come so far.
He's graduating from Biola this semester, this next fall, and he made a movie called Mallory and already won 7 film festivals.
Awesome.
I mean, the guy, since he was doing videos, so I knew that's his calling, that's his
Right.
thing, and he's doing very well. My daughter was just accepted at UCLA. She's gonna do law. I mean, still undergraduate, and she's doing that. And then my little one tallies 11. So I'm so blessed. I spend a lot of time with them. But I don't golf. I don't have any sport. I don't play sports. When I'm home, I'm home.
Right.
So when I travel, I don't feel guilty. So I can
Right.
be gone for 2 days, 3 days. I come home. They already know, hey, we're tired of you.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's next for Nazareth?
What's next? Okay, I'm starting a podcast, and just to be real, to be me, and to laugh, and to inspire people, and similar. This is good what you guys are doing. This is on the list. I did a show for Dry Bar Comedy, which is becoming a very popular clean comedy.
I've seen some of the
show
clips.
that's-
Yeah.
And I think Disney is buying it, so it'll be on Disney, like Netflix, but Disney. I do, in September I get back on going on the road. I'm doing an event at in Corona, the First Baptist of Corona, on September 6th.
I've seen you there too.
And then we're doing a big Laughter for All in Bakersfield on September 20th this year. And then doing another big one for the big Maranatha Chapel in San Diego on October 18th. And also, as I said, in Inglewood on November 1st. And then we go back next year and we do 7 more large. We're trying to get into San Francisco and then the heart of Los Angeles, which we are this year.
Right.
And just places where Sacramento. We just want to get to encourage believers to go out and share their faith. And I want to do that since we're on the air. And you want to hear funny, go to my YouTube, Comedian Nazareth TV. I'm very funny on stage. In real life, I just want to encourage you. If you're a believer and you're sick and tired of the way California is going, you know what? You can do something about it. God have changed your life. He gave you a testimony. He took you from the darkness into light. He blessed you. You have peace. Sometimes you're concerned and worried, but you have peace. And you know what? If you see a good movie or go to a good restaurant, what are you going to do? You're going to tell your friends about it. Tell your friends about Jesus. It's still legal to do it in California. And trust me, most of the time they're not going to hate you or get mad at you. And if they are, they're not mad at you. They're mad at Jesus. So go for it. Go in. And let me know about it. Go to my NazarethUSA.com. Send me an email. My email is naz@nazarethusa.com. Say, hey, Naz, I shared Jesus with someone. I prayed with someone. I encouraged a waiter or waitress. Nobody's wearing a T-shirt say, tell me about your Lord. You got to do it yourself. How about that for funny?
Hello, right from the heart.
Yeah, in fact, this morning I was just writing, and I write stuff still, and then I meet with my friend who's a comedian. We go. I was just thinking, like, I hate making lunches for my kids to go to school in the morning. I mean, just enough to where I want to homeschool them when I can. It's
Wow.
just too much because they're picky. Like, I don't want this, and the next day you open that. What do they call their lunchbox, which has Spider-Man or Superman, who would never eat the food I put in there. They should have like Gordon Ramsay or Fieri on those.
Yeah, with Hell's
lunchboxes.
Kitchen, right?
Hell's Kitchen, and you open it, and it just I try to put stuff healthy, and like, Dad, can you cut the apple? Can you peel the apple? Well, if I peel the apple, I'm gonna cut myself. I end up with Band-Aids. I don't know how to cut apples. My parents said never touch sharp objects, so I never knew. So I'm always cutting myself. Dad, I like green apples. Well, that was a green apple, but it's red now because I'm bleeding on it. Stuff like that. I'm just writing. It's just like taking a lump of clay and throw it, and then you start shaping it slowly, and eventually, within a few months, it becomes a bit, a comedy bit, and people go, "Oh, that was so funny. How did you think about that?" Well, it took a lot of work.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I want you to remind people how they can get your book, your DVDs, how they can get in touch with you.
Yes, if you want to get in touch with me, you can go to my website, NazarethuSA.com, NAZARETH USA.com, and you can get the book. You can look at where if I'm going to be in your area. You can watch a lot of videos and laugh, and you can whatever, or you can go to laughterforall.org, which is already on that side, and you can see the work that we're doing for the Lord.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I got to tell you, Naz is getting just like the rest of us. He has to look at his name to spell it out.
Yes,
Okay.
I have to. It's the same way it's done in the Bible. Or if you're a rock and roll guy, the band Nazareth, Hair of the Dog.
There you go.
There you go.
Wanted to sue me a long time ago because I had the name until they found out that's my real name.
It's like really on the
There's
birth
nothing we
certificate.
can do.
Yeah.
It's my birth. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Nazareth, it has been great having you here. We're down to just a couple of minutes here, and we want to thank you for coming in and
Thank
sharing
you
some
for
time with
having
us.
me.
This has been fun.
Thank you so much for having me, and happy anniversary. I always tell people when married couple, I said, 2 words you need to learn: shut up, Satan. Because sometimes you get you get in your head and go, why is he treating me like that? I can't believe I'm not gonna take this anymore. I can't believe he said it. No, I better show him how. This is not. He's just going too far. And you go, shut up, Satan. Or she goes, you know what? He's not being this romantic. He's not being this. He's just taking everything for granted. And you go, shut up, Satan, because it's not from the Lord.
Right.
And when you do that, you go, if these thoughts are coming from the evil one, because he doesn't like anything more than to ruin your marriage, I would say, you know what, just shut up, Satan. That's my marriage counseling right here.
There you go.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you for those words of wisdom.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Welcome. And people can go to my social media at Comedian Nazareth and like me, follow me, whatever you do. If you don't, you're going to hell. Just straight. This is it. Yeah, I know the Bible said if you accept Jesus. No, you don't accept me as you follow me on social media. You're going to hell.
So it's Nazareth on Facebook,
Comedian Nazareth.
Comedian
Anywhere.
Nazareth,
Just put
okay.
Comedian Nazareth. Follow
Twitter.
anything.
Anything.
Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever. Just follow it. Follow it.
Got it. I got you. I'm good.
Thank you. You're going to heaven, sister. Wow.
All right. Well, in closing today, we want to thank Nazareth for being here. Always good to see him. And we want to thank Hope Radio. Not Hope Radio anymore. I'm sorry. It's Hope Media Studios. We want to thank them. And we invite you again, check us out on Day by Day with Robb and Jody. And leave us some feedback. Or you can check out our website once again at www.tcbforjc.org. That's Taking Care of Business for Jesus Christ. And if you'd like notes from any of our shows, feel free to email us at daybydaywithrobbandjody@gmail.com. Indicate the topic, and we'll be happy to send you notes. It would be kind of hard to send you notes from today, but from any of our other shows, we can do that. And let's
You
see.
got to buy the book for the real.
Yeah. Go
There
check
you
out
go.
Nazareth's
You got to
book.
buy the book. There you go.
His book and his DVDs. There again at NazarethUSA.com. And we also want to remind you to go to our Facebook page if you haven't already. Day by Day with Robb and Jody. Like us. Go ahead and share there. Same thing on our YouTube channel. And check us out now on all the different podcast sites, iTunes, Google Play, and Pandora, and Spotify, and all those. And we'll get more into all that as we come along in the next couple of weeks as we learn more about it ourselves, because we're kind of new to all that. So we'll be sharing more about that. Anyhow, with that, if you'd like to support our ministry, you can do so financially. You can send a tax-deductible donation to Robb Judkins Ministries, P.O. Box 1415, Corona, California, 92878. Again, that's Robb Judkins, Judkins, Ministries, at P.O. Box 1415, Corona, California, 92878. Again, Naz, thank you. We appreciate it so much, buddy.
God bless you.
It's been a
guys.
pleasure having
Happy
you.
anniversary.
God bless you. And we'd like to leave you a closing blessing, as we always do. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift his countenance upon you and give you peace. And all God's people said,
Amen.
Until next week, I'm Robb.
And I'm Jody.
Join us as we continue to help you find hope in Jesus Christ on Day by Day with Robb and Jody.